The chandelier glittered above as men in tuxedos and women in diamond necklaces whispered over champagne glasses. The world's richest elite had gathered for Preston Vale's annual charity gala. Cameras flashed, waiters glided silently, and the sound of laughter filled the marble hall. Then, a voice cut through the air. Harsh, sharp, commanding. Preston Vale himself, the silver-haired billionaire with eyes like steel, turned toward a row of staff lining the wall. His words exploded, but not in English. Who allowed him to cry here? The Arabic rolled like thunder across the hall. The sudden foreignness of it froze the room. Guests paused mid-sip. Phones slipped quietly out of pockets, recording. A single baby's whimper echoed in the silence. All eyes turned to the staff, maids, waiters, busboys, frozen statues in press uniforms. Confused faces, nervous glances. No one dared answer. Who here understands? Preston's voice grew colder, heavier. He repeated in Arabic, louder this time. Who is responsible? A ripple of discomfort spread through the crowd. A senator's wife leaned toward her husband, whispering, "Is this intimidation?" Someone near the back muttered, "Is he testing them?" The live stream count on Instagram ticked past 3,000 viewers. And then, a single voice replied, clear, steady, unafraid. It came from the far end of the staff line, a maid in a plain black uniform, her dark skin glowing under the chandelier light. Her hands were still gloved from polishing silver, but her words were sharp as glass. The child cries because he is hungry, not because he is guilty. The hall went dead silent. Forks stopped midair. Every phone lifted higher. For a breathless second, Preston Vale just stared at her, the most powerful man in the room, silenced by the maid. A TikTok live commentator's voice whispered through earbuds somewhere in the crowd. "Yo!" Did she just answer him back? In Arabic? Another guest gasped audibly, "Wait!" As Seichi knows Arabic. And then came the sound that would define the night. A sharp intake of breath. Hundreds of people, in unison. The billionaire, the untouchable Preston Vale, had been answered, corrected, confronted, and the internet was already recording. The billionaire's jaw tightened. Cameras zoomed. Phones tilted higher. The silence was deafening, like the pause before a storm. Preston Vale's lips curled in disbelief. "You speak Arabic?" The maid lowered her eyes for a moment, then raised them again with a calm fire that made the audience lean in closer. "Yes, sir, I do." Whispers scattered across the hall. She answered him fluently. She's not even hesitating. "Wait, did you hear what she said?" She called him out. Twitter notifications buzzed in pockets. The hashtag Maid Speaks Back began its first shaky crawl into the trending list. A young guest in a velvet suit whispered into his phone camera, live streaming. "Guys, this is crazy. Preston Vale just spoke Arabic, and the only one who answered is one of the maids. Look at this. Look at the tension. This is history happening live." The live count, 7,200 viewers. Preston chuckled, but it was dry, brittle. "So, you claim to understand me. Then tell me, what did I say?" The maid's voice was steady, unshaken. "You demanded to know who allowed a child to cry, and you asked who is responsible." Gasps. People turned toward one another. Phones zoomed closer. A congressman's daughter whispered loudly. She's translating him perfectly. Clips were already being uploaded. TikTok caption screamed. The billionaire tried to test his staff, but the maid answered in perfect Arabic, fire, fire, fire. When money thinks it's power, but truth speaks louder 100 points. On Twitter, Preston Vale thought Arabic would silence the room. Instead, he just made the maid the star. Hashtag power shift. The small, muffled cry echoed once more. This time, all eyes darted to the back corner of the hall, where a nanny clutched a baby boy. Pale with fear of being noticed, the maid turned, raising a hand gently toward the nanny. Her voice carried across the marble like a sermon. "He is hungry. That is all. Hunger is not a crime." The audience shifted uncomfortably. Some lowered their glasses. Others whispered fiercely, "Why is this even issue?" TikTok chat. I can't believe this is happening at a billionaire's gala flushed face. Protect her. She's brave AF. This Maid got more power than all these fake elite skull. Instagram live viewers. 15,400 and climbing. Preston slammed his glass onto the nearest table. The crack of crystal silencing even the murmurs. You dare to speak back to me? In front of my guests? The Maid did not flinch. She folded her hands neatly in front of her apron. I only spoke because no one else would. You asked in Arabic. I answered. Dozens of phones were raised, bold and unashamed. Even the event's hired photographers turned their lenses away from the rich guests and toward the confrontation. A CNN reporter tweeted from hall. Breaking. Shocking moment at Vail Gala. Billionaire Preston Vale's silence when Black made replies in fluent Arabic. Video coming. Retweets exploded. Hashtag Veil Exposed began trending. The Maid's co-workers, still frozen along the wall, exchanged glances. One young busboy whispered, "She's done for." Another murmured, "Or maybe she just saved us all." The audience of elites began to fracture, some shaking their heads in disapproval, others applauding softly. A single clap echoed, then two more. The sound grew before it was quickly hushed by glares from those still loyal to Vail. MSNBC push notification. Viral video. Billionaire confronts Maid in Arabic. Her reply stuns Gala into silence. TikTok live viewers. 42,300. Twitter trending worldwide. Hashtag Maid speaks back at number 4. Veins rose on Preston's temple as he stepped closer. His voice dropped to a dangerous whisper, audible only because the hall was utterly silent. You will regret this insolence. The Maid raised her chin, eyes unblinking. Perhaps, but not as much as you will regret this moment being remembered forever. Phones caught every syllable. The crowd shivered. An older guest muttered, "She's not just any maid, she's too precise, too fearless." A younger one whispered, "What if she's someone important?" By now, the world outside wasn't just watching. It was choosing sides. TikTok live chat scrolled at dizzying speed. "She's legendary." "Expose him." "Bro, she's about to flip this whole thing." Preston Vale, the billionaire untouchable, stood inches away from a maid who had dared to defy him. The crowd leaned forward as though gravity itself was pulling them toward the confrontation. Every phone captured the moment. Every whisper sharpened the silence. And somewhere in the chaos, truth waited to break free. Preston Vale towered over Maid, his voice a blade of ice. "Tell me your name." The Maid's lips parted, calm, deliberate. Amina Idris. Amina, the name hung heavy in the air. Some guests whispered it, rolling it on their tongues. Phones zoomed in closer, catching her every expression. Preston sneered. "Well, Amina Idris, you've chosen the wrong moment to show off. You think this is your stage? You think these people care what Maid has to say?" Gasps. Some guests shook their heads. Others winced. But Amina did not flinch. A deep voice echoed from the back of the hall. "On the contrary, Mr. Vale, we care very much." All heads turned. The crowd parted like water. Walking to the golden-lit entrance was a tall man in a tailored navy suit, flanked by 2 discreet security guards. His stride was deliberate, his eyes locked on Vale. Whispers erupted. "Who is that?" "Wait, you know him?" "That's Idris Khalil, the international human rights lawyer." TikTok live viewer count. 77,000. Twitter explodes. Breaking. Idris Khalil enters Vail Gala after Maid speaks Arabic. Connection? Preston stiffened. "What are you doing here? This is a private gala." Idris' voice was smooth, commanding. "Private? Perhaps. But when you host an event live streamed across the globe, privacy ends where accountability begins." Idris stopped beside Amina, resting a protective hand on her shoulder. His next words shattered the room. "This woman you just humiliated, the so-called maid, is my sister." The crowd erupted. Audible gasps. A woman dropped her champagne glass, shattering it on marble. Twitter trending worldwide. Hashtag Amina Idris. Hashtag Veil Exposed. Hashtag made no more. TikTok chat. No way, face screaming in fear, face screaming in fear, face screaming in fear. She's his sister? OMG, this billionaire is done. Plot twist of the year. For the first time, Preston's confidence cracked. His face paled. Your sister? Idris nodded. Yes. Fluent in Arabic. Holder of 2 degrees. Amina, Idris chose to work quietly, studying human behavior, until this moment revealed your arrogance to the world. Amina lifted her chin, her voice steady but burning. You thought you could use language as a weapon, Mr. Vale. But language is my shield, and truth is my sword. The hall thundered with applause. Some guests rose to their feet, clapping, cheering. Others tried to slip out the side doors, ashamed to be seen as Vale's allies. CNN breaking banner. Maid revealed as sister of human rights lawyer. Vale faces global backlash. TikTok live, 122,000 viewers. Twitter trending #1. Hashtag Amina speaks. Preston's voice cracked, the edge gone. This is ridiculous. You staged this. Idris stepped closer, eye to eye with the billionaire. No, Preston, you staged it. You humiliated yourself the moment you chose to weaponize a child's hunger. And now the world is watching, and the world remembers. The crowd roared with approval. Phone screens glowed like torches, capturing the downfall of the Titan. Amina turned toward the audience, her voice clear, her eyes glistening with unbroken resolve. You wanted silence. Instead, you gave me a microphone. You wanted fear. Instead, you gave me a platform. And today, millions will hear the truth. Thunderous applause. Standing ovation. Hashtag spread faster than wildfire. Preston Vale stood motionless, swallowed by his own arrogance, his empire trembling, not from external enemies, but from the voice of the woman he had underestimated, the maid, the sister, the fighter, and the world was watching. The applause swelled into a wave that shook the chandelier overhead. Guests stood, clapping, shouting, recording. Others slipped away, their loyalty to Preston Vale dissolving like sugar in hot tea. Amina stood firm, her voice now carried by hundreds of microphones, phones, live streams, news crews that crashed the velvet rope. Children cry from hunger every day, not just here. You silence one child tonight, but you awaken millions of voices outside these walls. The room erupted again, half applause, half uproar. Twitter top trends now. Hashtag Amina Idris. Hashtag Veil Exposed. Hashtag Voices of the Hungry. Hashtag Made No More. TikTok live count, 210,000. Clips replayed Amina's exact words. You gave me a microphone, you gave me a platform. On Instagram, Reels titled, When a Billionaire Got Schooled in Arabic by Maid hit 2M views within minutes. CNN, BBC, and Al Jazeera reporters burst into the hall. Cameras already rolling. They weren't supposed to be here. This was a closed event, but the viral storm had cracked the gates wide open. Mr. Vale, do you have a comment? Mr. Vale, is it true you tried to humiliate staff? Mr. Vale, do you deny speaking in Arabic to intimidate your workers? Preston's face drained of color. He shoved through the crowd, muttering, no comment. A young BBC reporter pointed the microphone toward her. Ms. Idris, why did you respond? Amina inhaled deeply, her gaze steady, because silence feeds oppression, and because no one, no child, no worker should be shamed for hunger. The crowd erupted again, this time with cheers. Even staff members who had stayed frozen earlier began clapping, some wiping tears. Stock market's tickers lit up. Vale International shares plunged 12% within minutes as investors panic. Business Insider. Viral confrontation triggers market fallout. Preston Vale faces crisis. A Wall Street insider tweeted, Never seen a billionaire lose billions as fast, all because of one brave woman. Live on MSNBC, an anchor declared, We've just received confirmation that Vale International will face an immediate investigation into labor practices across all branches. Human Rights Watch and the UN are already reaching out. TikTok Live crosses 350,000 viewers. Twitter explodes with memes. Preston Vale Photoshop with captions like, "When you try to flex in Arabic and get humbled instead." But alongside the memes came anger. Thousands shared personal stories of workplace humiliation, discrimination, and hunger. Hashtag Voices of the Hungry turned from a hashtag into a movement. Every major outlet cut live to the Vale Gala, replaying the confrontation like a movie climax. Fox News headline, "Billionaire called out at gala. Staff member's defiance goes viral." BBC headline, "Arabic reply silences billionaire. Maid revealed as sister of global rights lawyer." Security tried to escort him out, but reporters swarmed. A journalist shouted, "Mr. Vale, do you deny intimidating workers?" He snapped back, his voice breaking, "I said nothing wrong." But the video was everywhere. Millions had heard the words. Millions had seen the tone. Guests began chanting her name. "Ayamine, Ayamine." She was ushered to the podium. Ironically, the same stage Preston had built to boast about his philanthropy. The billionaire's platform had become hers. Her words rang out, strong and steady. You wanted silence. Instead, you amplified our voices. To those watching, this moment is not about me. It is about every worker dismissed as invisible. It is about every child crying hunger while the rich toast with champagne. This is your moment too. Speak. Refuse to be silenced. Clips of her speech spread across TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. This is your moment too. Speak. Refuse to be silenced. That line alone hit 10 M views in under an hour. Celebrities reposted it. Musicians quoted it. Activists stitched it into their own TikToks. Hashtag Amina Speaks became the rallying cry of the day. Breaking news. Vale International Board directors scheduled an emergency meeting. Shareholders demanded Preston's resignation. MSNBC ticker. Sources. Preston Vale may face removal as CEO within 48 hours. Crowds outside the headquarters gathered, chanting Amina's name. Protesters held signs reading, "Hunger is not a crime. Workers are not invisible. We are all Amina." Drone footage showed thousands gathering in solidarity. The billionaire released a shaky statement via a PR rep. This was a misunderstanding, words taken out of context. But no one believed him. The videos were too clear. His tone, his arrogance, his words, it was all undeniable. CNN breaking. Amina Idris to speak at UN Summit on Workers' Rights. Commentators compared the moment to historical turning points, when one act of defiance exposed the cruelty of power and gave voice to the silenced. By afternoon, multiple charities announced they were severing ties with Vale International. Stock dropped another 18%. The once untouchable billionaire was now radioactive. And at the center of it all stood Amina, once ignored, now unstoppable. The blue UN flag fluttered against the sky. Reporters from every continent crowded the plaza. Cameras pointed at a figure walking up the marble steps. It was her, no longer in a black maid's uniform. Amina Idris wore a flowing white suit, her head held high. The same woman who once polished silver in silence was now flanked by diplomats, activists, and her brother Idris Khalil. Microphones exploded with questions. Amina, how does it feel to stand here today? What's next for the hashtag Voices of the Hungry movement? Do you think Preston Vale will face charges? She paused at the top of the steps, the same calm fire in her eyes as the night of the gala. "This is not my story alone," she said. "It belongs to every unseen worker, every silenced voice. Today, we begin to make sure no one is invisible again." Applause rippled through the crowd. After the gala, investigations into Vale International uncovered exploitative labor practices in multiple countries. Workers testified about long hours, withheld wages, and intimidation. Preston Vale was summoned before congressional hearings. Clips of him sweating under questioning went viral. "Mr. Vale, did you or did you not use foreign language to intimidate staff?" That's a misinterpretation." He became a global meme. Once photographed in front of jets and yachts. Now he was plastered online under captions like, "From billionaire to broken in 30 days." Under immense shareholder pressure, Preston Vale resigned as CEO. His empire fractured. Rival companies swooped in. His name became synonymous with arrogance and downfall. But Amina? She became the opposite, an icon. Hashtag Amina Speaks, a global movement. The hashtag evolved into an organization. Millions donated. Grassroots networks sprang up worldwide. From Kenya to Brazil to Pakistan, workers shared their own stories, attaching her name like a badge of courage. Documentaries were announced. Schools began teaching the gala incident in media literacy classes, how one live stream can change the world. Late-night hosts joked, "Careful what language you use. Amina probably speaks it." But beyond jokes, change was real. Corporations rolled out stricter codes of conduct. Restaurants and hotels introduced dignity training for management. Several governments passed emergency measures protecting service workers from harassment and intimidation. The baby who had sparked the entire confrontation? His photo circulated the internet with captions like, "The cry that changed everything." Amina visited the nanny and child personally. Holding the baby in her arms for a viral photo, she whispered, "Your cry was not shame. It was truth, and it was heard." Standing before the UN General Assembly, her voice translated into dozens of languages, she declared, "We thought the internet was only a mirror of cruelty, but it can also be a megaphone for justice. Let this moment remind us, hunger is not a crime, silence is not safety, and dignity is not negotiable." Thunderous applause shook the chamber. The New York Times. From Maid to Movement, how Amina Idris reshaped global labor rights. Time magazine cover, Person of the Year, the voice that spoke back. Meanwhile, Preston Vale faced mounting lawsuits. He retreated from public life, a disgraced figure hiding from cameras. Analysts describe his story as the fastest social collapse of wealth-driven power in the 21st century. The last scene, 1 year later, a bustling cafe in Cairo. Workers laugh during a break, scrolling through TikTok. Amina's speech plays again on someone's phone. "Speak. Refuse to be silenced." One waitress smiles. "She gave us courage." The camera pans outward, cafes, factories, schools, homes, all across the world. People repeating her words. A viral moment, no longer just a clip, but a creed. Protesters holding signs in multiple languages. "We are all Amina." A classroom of children reciting her words. The nanny's baby, now a toddler, running freely in a park. Amina Idris walking confidently into the UN chamber, her voice echoing across history. One man spoke to silence a child. One woman replied and silenced him instead. And in that silence, the world finally heard itself. Fade to black, inspired by a true possibility. Speak. Refuse to be silenced.